Hello everybody and welcome to this live stream launch event. For those of you who might not know me, my name is Barnaby Smith and I'm the Artistic Director and Countertenor in VOCES8. Today's an exciting day for us because we are announcing a new venture. Those of you who've been following our daily live from home broadcasts during this lockdown period will know that over the past couple of weeks we have reduced our output a little to work on some new ideas. And I'm thrilled to be announcing the first of those for you right now. We have organised an online festival which features some of the world's finest vocal ensembles. It's going to consist of 10 concerts which will be broadcast in high definition from the VOCES8 Centre in London starting on the 1st of August. And even more excitingly, we have organised a stellar lineup of artists for you. The festival is going to be called Live from London, and check this out. We invite you to a global festival featuring some of the shining stars from the world of a cappella, live online from VOCES8's Wren Church in London.
Filmed in HD from the VOCES8 Centre, Live from London celebrates some of the world's finest vocal groups.
The festival will be broadcast live online every Saturday for 10 weeks from the 1st of August to the 3rd of October.
A portion of all tickets sold will be put towards funding for grassroots music education and to addressing topics of diversity, equality, inclusion and accessibility in choral music.
Ticket prices have been structured to benefit artists and promoters alike and to help them cover their COVID-19 losses.
We'd love you to join us for this unique series, Live from London. As you can see, we have taken the view that we need to bring live singing back to a worldwide choral community, and we hope that you're as excited as we are about the prospect of this digital festival. Tickets are available at this very moment. You can purchase either a season ticket, which covers all of the events, or you can buy tickets to individual concerts, and you'll be able to find those at the web address voces8.foundation/live from London, and we'll be sure to post that on all the feeds as well. Now, I said a worldwide choral community. We're aware that not everybody will be able to necessarily tune in at 7 p.m. UK time to watch the concerts live. So, of course, we are making all of the concerts available live, but they will also be available on demand from the date of the live performance until the end of the festival on the 3rd of October. And then from the 4th to the 31st of October, you'll have access to every concert in cinematic quality, which will have been recut and post-produced and will be posted in full 4K format. So if you buy the ticket once, you can enjoy the concert in 3 different ways and also as many times as you like. And we hope that will cater to everybody's needs wherever you are in the world and whatever your personal situation is at 7 p.m. UK time on a Saturday. Now, for the rest of this show, I'm going to be previewing each of the concerts and also catching up with a few of the artists to introduce you to them and their music. As you can imagine, organising the festival has been quite an undertaking, and we're really grateful to all of our management who've helped us and supported us for the last couple of weeks whilst we've been trying to get this plan together. First then, I caught up with Andrea from VOCES8 to talk with her a bit about what it takes to set up a festival like this and also what her specific role has been. Andrea, thank you very much for joining us. Very nice to see you. How are you? It's a very hot day here in Cambridge. Is it baking in London as well?
Absolutely baking, yes. Trying to keep the air moving through the flat.
Well, I'm talking of air moving. I'm trying to work out my studio. I'm sorry, first of all, if anyone hears like barking dogs or tweeting birds or anything, but I have the window of my studio absolutely wide open. But I also have a computer here that I'm building at the moment specifically for these streams. And it's great, but it's got this Apple fan system which draws air in from the front, brings it across the processors, and then blows it out hot at the back. And because of the fact I'm working on the back, it's just blowing hot air at me.
Hot air at you.
I, of course, blow hot air straight into the microphone, but the computer is blowing hot air straight at me. So I'm sorry if I've got a she. It's very nice to see you. This is exciting, isn't it, for us, live from London? And I would love to speak to you a little bit today, of course, because you're one of the singers in VOCES8 and we've got 2 concerts, but also because you're really involved in the production side of the festival. So first of all, let's touch on that. Tell us, what is it that you're going to be doing? What is it that you've already done? What is it that you're going to be doing in order to get this Live from London on the road?
So it's been really nice actually for me to kind of fill a bit of the creative hole that's been left by not singing together by doing something a bit more artistic. So I've been putting together some of the imagery and assets that we're going to be using in our media to promote the festival. So I went out and found a couple of really beautiful images of Big Ben, specifically the London skyline, trying to get roughly the right time of day that we might be sending out our concerts from London.
Now that passed me by. Good, very good, yeah. Okay.
Sunsets.
Oh yeah, nice.
So trying to get this kind of evening feel of London so that anybody who's watching all over the world kind of just really feels kind of welcomed into our hometown and where we're going to be recording our music from. Of course, there is one exception to that in this series, which is really exciting too, with a concert coming instead of not live from London, but live from San Francisco. So I'm really looking forward to that one too, but maybe I'll have to choose a different image, I don't know.
Yeah, let's go with the Golden Gate Bridge, or maybe Alcatraz, I don't know.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, I've chosen 2 different images. One that's really bright, full of really sort of lovely orange sunshine of the sunset, and then contrasted it with a slightly moodier scape as well, with slightly darker colours, and it gives a really nice contrast both sides of the of the kind of mood of London. I guess we always have our weather is a little bit questionable sometimes and can change very quickly. So trying to capture both sides of it, and maybe just included a little few radio waves coming out of Big Ben.
That was very good.
Oh, thanks, Barney.
Yeah, and you know, even better, it's also the signal, isn't it, for Oyster, which is the card that you tap to get into the London Underground. So
yeah, absolutely. It's kind of almost like the BT Tower as well, you know, that kind of like those radio signals. I really saw those kind of like us sending out those radio signals across the sky, maybe a little bit more up to date than radio, but yeah, trying to make sure that we reach everybody with the stuff we're sending out. And
I mean, as well as putting together the actual images and assets, as we call them, you also have a role, don't you, running, so you sort of have oversight of the social media schedule for the group. Of course, being a digital festival, that's going to be an important outlet. So what sort of things, I'm curious, so I'd put you on the spot a little bit, when you're preparing an event like this in order to promote it on socials, what are some of the things that you have to think about and bear in mind? Well, absolutely, those kind of images and things, making sure that we've got enough materials to be putting out there, which keeps a good element of visual interest from the people that we're sending it out to, and also trying to make those available to the different artists that are going to be featuring in the festival as well, so that they can promote their own work that they're going to be doing. But it's a lot of it to do with the scheduling in particular. It's always trying to figure out when is best. There's all sorts of interesting statistics you can get and analytics off all of those social media sites, which tell you what the best time of day is to post, which day of the week is best, you know, you get the most engagement. And of course, our desire in this particular circumstance is to reach as many people as we possibly can and invite them to actually listen to some live music for probably the first time. Certainly for us, it's going to be the first time that we've made music all together live on our first concert on the 1st of August. So
I'm really excited for that. And yeah, the scheduling will just make sure that we can try and let everybody know about a really exciting and happy event that's going to be going.
Yeah, you talked about the creative void that you were missing in your life, and of course, this is, as you said, going to be the first time that we sing together. We're actually doing 2 concerts, aren't we, as part of the festival. The first is our After Silence CD launch, which was going to be on the 10th of August as part of our Resound Festival, which we run as a global festival at our centre in London. But of course, that's been postponed for obvious reasons. So we bought it as part of this digital festival. So if I had to press you, pick out a highlight or 2 from the After Silence programme for me.
Oh, for me, probably Virtue.
Oh yeah, the Jonathan Dove commission.
Jonathan Dove commission, because I'm a great fan of the original poem, and I love the way that he set that music in the double choir effect, and it's a real treat for us to get to sing it, because we don't get to sing it too often. So I'm really looking forward to that. Anything else? I mean, actually, maybe some of the simple music as well. Things like our standards, Drop Drop Slow Tears in there.
It is, yeah. Opens the show. Can't beat Drop Drop Slow Tears, can you? Simple,
I know. I think it's just
harmony,
lovely.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be actually really special that that's the first piece that we get to sing together live in this concert, because it's a real sort of backbone of our repertoire and of our concerts in the last few years. And I think that's going to feel really special to finally be togetger again and be able to sing that piece.
Yes, that's probably going to be quite an emotional event, actually. I'm just looking at the set list. And I didn't sort of bear this in mind when I was creating
Naughty Barney.
I know, but we've got the Songs of Farewell, which actually under normal circumstances
are hugely emotional.
Quite emotional, yeah. It's one of the set of pieces, aren't there? When we sing them on stage, you sort of feel. If you don't necessarily hear people tearing up, you feel I always feel that the energy with which people sing them is ever so slightly heightened. So there could be some fireworks or some waterworks, I should say, in those. Yeah, it's a lovely program. We're also doing the Sestina Madrigals by Monteverdi, which of course you're not
Which
in.
is lovely, because I get to listen. Yeah.
So actually you're just doing half a gig.
Get some time out.
Nice way to ease your way in, but they're also very impassioned pieces. So it's going to be lovely. And the second program that we're doing is Choral Dances, which has become a firm favourite, I think, probably of the group and audiences, hasn't it, over the last couple of seasons. Anything you'd like to pick out from that as being things you enjoy?
It's always been really popular with audiences and promoters actually requesting that programme. I'm really looking forward, of course, to getting back to the jazz and pop side of the repertoire, as well as the classical side that we'll be exploring in After Silence. So doing things like Cheek to Cheek, which is an absolute classic tune. So things like that, I'm really looking forward to getting back into trying to get that swing going. I'm going to have to do some practice before we get there. I need to start now. Yeah, I'm going to have to try and brush up on all of that stuff.
It's going to be quite interesting, isn't it, to see, when the group comes into rehearsal on the first day, sort of back. Obviously, we're going to probably be socially distanced in some way. We don't know what the rules will be at that time, but I think it's going to be very interesting to see in what capacity we're able to deliver what we were doing before lockdown begun, because you know very well, but for our benefit of our audience, it's singing in VOCES8 we don't just walk in and sing. There's a whole load of sort of styles of voice that we use, or vowel matches, or specific sounds we go for, or the way that we listen, the way that we even tune, the way people's ears are naturally tuned. If everyone's been listening to, say, a lot of equal tempered music during lockdown and not really been listening to much tempered or just intonation, then it's really, people are going to be tuning thirds in very different ways to the way they would have done before lockdown, all that kind of stuff. So it's going to be fascinating.
I think it's going to be quite take a little bit of time to retune to each other, isn't it? And find our home again. And
I think one of the interesting things is not being able to get very close to each other is going to be a little bit how we do that, because normally we would come relatively tight to each other and do things like humming just to really draw people in to listen. But of course, with the distancing, that's going to be bit of a challenge. So
it is, although we are of course really lucky with the centre that it's got such beautiful acoustics naturally, that it does make it a little bit more easy than maybe some other venues to listen to each other. But it will be very interesting to see how we can use that space to our advantage and in the best and safest way, obviously, that we can. So you've been setting up some of the stuff in the centre, haven't you?
And some.
There's been some work going on and some equipment that's being set up in there.
There is. I have to say, it's been somewhat pushing me because, of course, I'm very into audio, as you know. I'm not sure whether our audience do, but I love mixing and sound engineering and all that sort of stuff, and I do a lot of.
I'm glad to hear that you still love it even after this long lockdown.
A lot of it lockdown, but I love playing with my toys in that respect as well, and all the microphones. And VOCES8, the group, actually has its own recording setup, and sometimes we use that for our discs. So on After Silence, probably 10 or 12 of the tracks we've actually made ourselves, and sometimes we work with our engineer Dave, who's got a very similar rig. But of course, for this stuff, if it was just radio broadcast, well, that'd be easy. But it's the visual element is hard, and it's hard because we make a lot of videos, don't we? And when you make a video, you have a few cameras in, and you just click record on the video on the camera, and then you take the SD card out of the camera at the end, plug it into a computer, download, and then you can go and edit it all. But in this instance, you have to find a way to bring. We're going to have 6 cameras. You have to find a way to bring 6 camera feeds into one box, take that down one fiber to a computer, and have all the software to see those 6 cameras, and then go in the
live edit it.
And that is in addition to the sound.
Yeah.
So it's quite an undertaking, and you think of it in that sense with the cameras, but there's all the other stuff. There's things like the lighting, there's choosing the shots, how many of the cameras are going to be manned. We have one camera that's on a crane, so you're going to get big aerial shots, but then the crane can't come in the way of any of the other cameras, and then when you put a crane up, you see the whole center, so you can't kind of chuck the junk in one corner and think it's off screen, all this kind of stuff. It's like, so many things to think about. And a really interesting thing, which I hadn't quite thought through when this whole thing first started, but we want each of the events to be storyboarded. So it's not just a few cameras switched on filming what's going on in the church, but it actually becomes a program. Just like you would program a concert, we actually want there to be an element of programming in it. And so there's really exciting things, but it's pushing me a little bit in a good way.
It will be really interesting as well to see how each different group and each different artist uses that space and tells different stories, but through that production and kind of storyboarding of all of it. And we're really lucky that we've got that, that it's a really lovely open space, nice high ceilings. There is actually, we have got the space to do that. Hopefully, even if we can't show, the mucky corners. We're going to have to get in and do some cleaning before we get in there. I was on
the phone today to Jan, who's our centre manager, discussing all the mucky corners. But it's going to be cool, and we're shooting it in 4K as well, which is super. I think they call it ultra high definition. So
you can beam it on your HD TV.
Yeah, well, those really tech savvy people will know that you can't stream in 4K. You can only stream in HD. Which is still high definition, nice on the television, all the rest of it. But then what we're going to do is afterwards, whilst all the streaming's happening, the cameras will all be recording as well. And so afterwards, I can then recut the show in 4K. And at the end of the festival, the videos will go up on demand. So people who've got tickets will be able to watch them again. And this time they'll be post-produced in cinematic 4K. So it's quite an undertaking. Luckily, I've got a bit of time on my hands at the moment to figure it all out. But we've got some super duper nice cameras and stuff, and I'm really excited. So
all the equipment, lovely.
Yeah, we've got the cameras in now, and we just need to fully wire the space, which is happening next week, and then we've got a month to kind of practice our moves on the campus.
Yeah, good. It's really important, isn't it, in this kind of whatever this new normal ends up being, that we have these facilities and resources to continue making music together and being able to share it with everybody.
Absolutely.
Through this great stuff. So we're really lucky, and obviously having the foundation as a umbrella over all of this thing to really help get it to as many people as possible.
Yep. So it's exciting. It's exciting to think, it could be, well, when I say exciting, I think I'm going to be super duper nervous because,
I think we all are.
How many thousands of people are going to be watching these concerts. And it's a bit different because when you go on the radio, for example, you're just standing there and singing. But now, because we're also the ones producing the show in this sense, I get a buzz out of doing these shows. I can't imagine what's going to happen when we're down at the centre as well. It's going to be fantastic.
We're going to have to get something to calm you down, Bob.
Yeah, I'm going to need a McDonald's afterwards because I'll be super
Oh, yeah.
All right, guys.
Now
It's lovely to see you.
Yeah,
I think we might play a little VOCES8 track now. So since you mentioned it as being something you're looking forward to, we'll play a little jazz track. So why don't we actually see us singing live? So this is going to be Straighten Up and Fly Right, which we recorded just a year or two ago when we were performing everyone in the same room in Detroit. No, it wasn't Detroit, it was Kalamazoo.
It was in Kalamazoo, yeah.
I got that wrong, Barney. Ooh, I'll be in trouble with Blake. Kalamazoo, Michigan. Lovely to see you, Dra, and thanks for your hard work and everything that you're doing, and we'll catch
Pleasure.
up. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
A buzzard took a monkey for a ride in the air. The monkey thought that everything was a square. The buzzard tried to throw the monkey off of his back. The monkey grabbed his neck and said, "Now listen, Jack. Straighten up and fly right. Straighten up and stay tight. Straighten up and fly right. Go down, Papa, don't you blow your top. Ain't no use in diving. What's the use in diving? Straighten up and fly right. Go down, Papa, don't you blow your top. The buzzard told the monkey, "You are choking me. Release your hold and I will set you free." The monkey looked the buzzard right dead in the eyes.
Your story's so touching, but it sounds just like a lie.
Straighten up and fly right. Straighten up and stay tight. Straighten up and we'll stay. Straighten up and fly right. Straighten up, cool down, Papa, don't you blow your top. Straighten up and fly right. Straighten up and stay tight. Straighten up and fly right. Cool down, Papa, don't you blow your top. Ain't no use in diving, but what's the use in driving? Straighten up and fly right. Cool down, Papa, don't you blow your top. Fly right.
Thanks very much to Andrea for joining me there. All of the imagery that you see across this whole campaign for Live from London is all done by her and her wonderful creative talent and artistic eye. So thanks to her for all her hard work. For those people who might just be logging in, we are here today announcing a new online music festival that we're running from the VOCES8 Centre in London. It's called Live from London and it features some of the world's finest vocal groups. If you'd like any more information or to buy tickets, then please head over to voces8.foundation/live from London. VOCES8 will be singing 2 concerts. We're going to be opening the festival on the 1st of August, singing our programme called After Silence, and that's also acting as our CD launch for that album, which comes out on the 24th of July, so have you pre-ordered your copy yet? We're also going to be doing a second concert on the 5th, I just checked that, yes, the 5th of September, at which we're going to be performing our popular show Choral Dances. Now, we mentioned in that chat with Andrew that we have spent quite a lot of time recently working on the tech side of things because we want to deliver you flawless streams which of course have a high artistic value, but that also have a very high tech value as well. We're going to have 6 cameras in total in the VOCES8 Centre, and I went down there last week with 3 of them to begin to practice the setup and to work on how we could get those production standards to the highest possible quality. Whilst I was there, Apollo 5 were rehearsing, and so I took a little bit of footage which I'm going to air for you now.
All I needed was the love you gave. All I needed for another day, and all I ever knew. Only you. This is gonna take a long time, and I wonder what's mine. Can't take no more. Wonder if you'll understand. It's just the touch of your hand behind closed doors. All I needed was the love you gave. All I needed for another day, and all I ever knew. Only
Now, many of you may have recognised that song and its arrangement. It's called Only You, and it's actually arranged originally by VOCES8. It's very nice to hear Apollo 5 doing such a lovely job on it. And they're actually going to be releasing that video in full this coming Sunday, so be sure to watch out for that. And I hope you enjoyed the quality of some of the shots. I'd like to point out at this stage that I won't have massive mic stands up in the middle of the frame for the concerts, I hope, but they were there for the purpose of recording Apollo 5's rehearsal. And their live from London concert's going to be on the 12th of September, and they're performing a programme linked to their new CD project, which is called Where All Roses Go. Now, we do have one guest ensemble which is not necessarily singing related, and those of you who follow VOCES8 will know that we are regular collaborators with the period instrument ensemble, the Academy of Ancient Music, and we're thrilled that they're going to be coming in and playing a programme of Baroque delights for us, including music by Vivaldi, Bach, Handel and Marcello. And in this concert series, they're going to be under the direction of their artistic director, Richard Egar. But I thought today I'd play a favourite of mine. So here they are with Christopher Bucknell directing from the harpsichord, playing The Arrival of the Queen of Sheba. Now, Live from London is all about celebrating a wealth of choral and vocal repertoire, and what group have done that more successfully in the last 50 years or so than the Swingles? I caught up with one of their newest recruits to find out a little bit more about what they're going to be doing for Live from London. I'm now joined by a member of the Swingles, Imogen Parry. Thanks very much for coming, Imogen. Very nice to see you. I hope you're enjoying the unbelievably hot weather, which is unusual. People always say, we do not have air, do you not have aircon in the UK? I'm like, we literally would need it 3 days of the year. But it so happens that this is one of those days. So thanks for coming and making my life a little less stuffy, I'm sure. We're so excited, thrilled, in fact, that Swingles are coming to sing a concert. You guys, your group and your brand was a huge inspiration to us when we were finding our feet in the world of a cappella, and of course your music is still an inspiration to all of us. I would love to find out a little bit about you, because you are, I'm sure, recognized by many of our audience, and but some people might not recognize you, and those people who do will know that you're one of the new members of the group. So how long have you been doing this a cappella malarkey?
Yeah, so I joined the Swingles last year, so I've been in the group just over a year now, and I was a fan for a very, very long time. I've known about the group all my life. I am actually the first ever second generation Swingle, following in the footsteps of my dad, who was in the group in the 80s, 90s. So that's a very, very cool thing for me. And I looked up to these guys for so many years, and now I get to sing with them, which is I still pinch myself. But I had a really amazing first year in the group, got to go to some very amazing places and long tours, and I just had a blast. It's really amazing to sing with them. And now, where we are now is we're all isolated in different parts of the world, which is a new challenge, but every day is fun, and I have the best job in the world.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. And I love the fact that you've mentioned your dad, because your dad was one of my heroes. Well, is one of my heroes when he was an a cappella legend. And actually, in VOCES8, we sing some of his arrangements. We sing one very regularly, which was originally written for the Swingles when your dad was in the group, called I Don't Mean a Thing. So it's very nice.
Oh, right, a classic. Yeah.
Yeah, so there you go, classic.
No, love it.
Tell us then a little bit about the program that you're bringing to the festival.
Yeah, we're super excited, just to start off, to say we are absolutely buzzing to actually sing in the same room together again. Yes. I think it's the thing that we've all missed the most, other than just hanging out in general. But making music in person will be. I'm very excited about that, the electricity that will bring. So we haven't done a lot of live stream things before, but the program we're bringing basically will take you on a journey through the Swingles and the Swingle Singers' long history, and touch on almost every genre imaginable. We do like to take the audience through all different styles. So we will do some of the famous Bach arrangements that made the group so famous back in the 60s. And we still love to sing them. We call them Swingle classics, and they are timeless. Bringing you through right to what we do more currently, writing some original music, and bringing in the technology that we use. We'll definitely do some live looping on the night, which is super great to play with. Yeah, basically everything: folk music, jazz standards, all the way up to our favorite contemporary pop bands. So that's exciting. It's a strong mixture.
Yeah, I think you're going to be the only group actually in the festival that's going to sing in what we would, I mean, it might not necessarily be amplified in the room, perhaps it will be. I haven't spoken to your sound engineer Max yet about that, but you're going to sing, with the use of handheld mics, so you have that opportunity to engage with the technology. I'd love to ask you about the looping.
Yes.
So just for those people who might not have come across that before, could you just explain briefly how that works?
Yeah, so the Swingle Singers have always sung on mic, and we love it because it gives us the opportunity to play with this technology. everything we do is live. So when you hear things coming back around and around in the room, some people do say, you know, is it a backing track or have you pre-recorded it? Basically, we sing it live into the microphone, and from the sound desk, it's picked up, and then we can loop it back later on in the song. And it just means that we can sing with so many more layers than the 7 of us.
It's kind of like the ultimate cake, isn't it? It's like, it's not none of this Victoria Sponge nonsense where you've got like 3 or 4 layers.
Oh, no.
You guys have got 7 members, and you can multiply that as many times as you like. That's cool.
Yeah, hundreds if we want.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to experiencing it live in the room. I'm very lucky for the fact that I'm going to be one of the people who's actually able to be in the room whilst you're singing. So that's going to be fantastic.
No, it will be really fun, and we just we can't wait to bring it to an audience via the internet, but still it will be really fun.
And you talked about original music, which I think is really exciting, because it must be interesting, like really interesting, but also sometimes difficult to balance the fact that you're singing in a group that's got how many years? Over 50 years, is it, the Swingle Singers?
Coming up to 60, yeah.
So you're singing in a group that's got so much heritage, Grammy awards from way back when, and of course, you know, I think probably to certainly people of my generation and older, which is older than you, when someone says the Swingle Singers, the first thing we think is Baba Dava Bach. So, right. And I think, you know, obviously you're going to sing some of that and you guys recognise your heritage, but it must be really interesting to balance that with also growing as a group looking forward. And I love the fact that you said you were going to sing some of your own music and own arrangements. Is that something that you personally do, or is that other members of the group who are involved in that side of it?
Right, so I haven't actually written or arranged anything in the group yet, but
to that, do you?
I know, yeah, I need to kind of make it to that stage
first.
But I'm super interested in it, and there's a lot of collaboration. We actually write some things as a group sometimes, whether it comes from group improvisation or someone brings an idea and it's developed as a group. So that's really fun. I think just what you said about singing Bach and everything up till now, we always say that, and I think it was Ward himself said that the group wants to stay at the forefront of music making. And for us, that means honouring the legacy and the heritage of 60 years of music, but also what we love to sing. And we love to express ourselves through writing our own stuff. And we're always coming up with new ideas. And the original stuff is really exciting project.
Oh, we'll look forward to hearing the first. I mean, there's been a lot of music that's been arranged parry for the Swingles before, but we'll look forward to the first. We'll look forward to the first written parry. Another question then about this idea of improvisation. Will you be improvising in the show on the looping, or is that sort of the actual musical element of it rehearsed beforehand and then sung live, or do you actually improvise live on the loops as well?
That's a good question. At the moment in our set, all the loops that we do are notated, but it doesn't mean there isn't scope for improvised looping. Okay. I don't see why not. Like we were saying about building up those layers, it would be really cool to have something come back that you've heard before but is new for the first time.
Yeah, well, it's something we do actually a little bit in VOCES8, and mostly in an education environment where you might have a few hundred kids in a room or students in a room, and Johnny will just sing a bass line and take it from there. But we do very occasionally do some sort of improvised riff in a show, but it's maybe not in this show, because there's so much already that's just a little bit like, streaming for like this for us is not touch and go will be the wrong word, because it'll be really well prepared, and we'll do 1,000,001 dress rehearsals. But still, one plug comes out and you're whoa. So,
I know there's a lot at stake. So maybe trying new things at this stage might be a bit much.
Now, has your dad been to a show since you joined the group?
Oh, he's a big fan.
Yeah, okay, good. Because I was going to ask you then to finish. Like, do you have to kind of come off stage afterwards, and you've got Dad waiting there with his little crib sheet of? I
was nervous about that, honestly, because I remember in school, you know, he was always supportive, but something about when I'd come home after a concert, there'd always be something wrong. But I remember him, the first show he came to was last April, and he actually sat in the audience with David Porter Thomas, who was his bass partner in the group. So, you know, it was my first London audience. There were old ex-Swingles in the audience, no pressure. And yeah, he was just blown away. He was over the moon. I don't think he could stop smiling. So
I'm sure he's extremely proud. It's one of the things I'm thankful for the fact that obviously I was one of the founders of VOCES8. So there's nobody who I've succeeded in the group. So there's nobody who can come and sit in a concert who's ever sung my part. And I'm very grateful for that. And I'm really, some of my colleagues, they just, you know, obviously it happens to them all the time. And they just like water off a duck's back. I'm like, how are you not really nervous about that?
It's tricky, isn't it? When you know, you meet the person that you've replaced and you feel like, you know, you're treading on toes, but everyone in the Swingles is so supportive and it's like a big family. So we're really lucky.
Well, I'm ashamed to say that I've not seen the group yet with you in it. So I've not seen it live, I should say. Obviously, I've seen your stuff on media and videos and stuff. So I'm very much looking forward to hearing you sing with the group, and that's going to be fun.
Thank you. Yeah, we're so excited, and to be part of the whole festival as well is with the other groups. It's going to be really amazing after all these months of waiting to sing together.
It's going to be like a massive sort of a cappella party. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm too old for that. You're not lying. Anyway, Imogen, thank you so much for coming on. It's I'm going to play some of your music now, which actually is a track I haven't selected yet, so I have to quickly flick through my files and figure out what I'm going to play. But I'll definitely try and get something with you in it. So
thank you.
Thank you very much for coming on, and look forward to seeing you on the date of your concert is.
We're on August 22nd.
August 22nd. Looking forward to seeing you then. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I'll say hi to your mum and dad.
Oh, thanks. Bye.
Bye.
How come I end up where I started? How come I end up where I went wrong? Won't take my eyes off the ball again. You reel me out, then you cut the string. How come I end up where I started? How come I end up where I went wrong? Won't take my eyes off the ball again. First you reel me out and then you cut the string.
You used to be alright. What happened? Did the cat get your tongue? Did your string come undone? One by one, one by one, it comes to us all. It's as soft as your pillow.
take my eyes off the ball again. You reel me out, then you cut the string.
Reel me out, then you cut the string.
Thanks very much to Imogen for joining us. I've always been a fan of the group and I'm hugely looking forward to hearing a really eclectic mix of repertoire styles and of course techniques with all that looping and stuff. For those people who might just be logging in, we're here today announcing the fact that we have a new online music festival that we're running from the VOCES8 Centre in London. It's called Live from London and it features some of the world's greatest vocal groups. If you'd like any more information, then head over to voces8.foundation/live from London. Now, we are a very global group and you, of course, are a really global audience as well. And we want this to be a global festival. So we didn't think it was right not to include some friends from overseas. And VOCES8 and Chanticleer have, for the last few years, been really good friends. Indeed, our tenor Blake joined us from Chanticleer and we're now very well acquainted with all the guys who sing in that group. And it's always lovely to catch up with them when we're over in San Francisco or touring in the same place in the world. And we were thrilled, therefore, that they have kindly agreed to bring us a concert all the way from the US West Coast as part of this digital festival. The group, of course, makes an incredibly unique sound. They bring real energy and character and intensity, actually. I think it's one of their hallmarks, the intensity that they bring to all of their programme. And here, then, is a wonderful example of that. This is Chanticleer.
Sit down, servants. Sit down. Sit down, servants. Sit down. Why don't you sit down, servants? Sit down. Sit down and rest a little while. I know you're tired. In that land by
What incredible energy. I said, didn't I? Intensity. And what a fantastic solo there as well from Marcus Ruff. Marcus doesn't sing with the ensemble anymore, sadly, but he's a dear friend of ours and is a regular guest at our concert. So a big shout out to him. He's one of those guys you can see, big character, never scared to tell me what he thought of my singing during a concert. So I always love to have him. And he's a very, very nice guy and a great friend of ours. Chanticleer are going to be joining us to close the festival on the 3rd of October. And will be presenting their programme called Love Always, which will be a good mix, I think, of selections from the many different areas of the ensemble's really broad repertoire. Now for someone I've had as a guest a couple of times already on my streams during lockdown. His inimitable wit combined with outstanding directing means that his ensemble has always had a unique hallmark. He is Robert Hollingworth, director of I Fagiolini.
Robert Hollingworth, a frequent guest on my live streams, it seems. Thank you very much for joining us, Robert, of course, the director of I Fagiolini, which is a group that I'm a huge fan of, and looking forward very much to your concert. So tell us, first of all, you can tell me what date's your concert? I think you might be the second one.
Yes.
Yeah.
August the 8th. I think we were due to be in Poland giving a concert that day, but of course that's gone with the rest of them. So absolutely delighted to be asked. August the 8th.
Hopefully your Polish audience will be able to tune in, of course. Tell us about the programme, first of all.
Well, it's called The Ache of Love. And the word ache is something I associate with Monteverdi. His music is so viscerally emotional.
Good one. No outtakes on this. I'm sorry, that's going on.
Exactly. His music is so viscerally emotional. You look at most of his contemporaries. I mean, 40 years ago, when I was first getting into this stuff, I was aware of other composers from the period outside Monteverdi, and over 40 years, I've got to know an awful lot of them. And there are certainly composers who do weirder things than Monteverdi and do more advanced harmony. But you ask yourself, well, yeah, but why? Because what he does is so concise. It's so incredibly powerful. And you need in your voice when you sing this stuff, this ache. It's not enough to be just expressive or to look at the camera or to look meaningfully at another singer at a particular moment. You really have to feel it. In other words, it's just great music. And obviously, Monteverdi is tremendously well done. We're not suggesting that there are any pieces here that won't already be out there. But if you've only heard other types of vocal music and this is something new to you, for goodness sake, don't lose this opportunity, because it's so powerful. The colours. I mean, I've been doing this series we talked about, I called Sing the Score. Yeah. And I've been taking apart one of the madrigals that we're going to be doing called Oimè bel viso. And it's so amazingly put together. It's so economical and there's nothing wasted. But it leaves you kind of going...
Yeah.
And it's not just because of the dissonance or because of just the way a chord is laid out. It's just because you just think, yes, that's what I feel. Why couldn't I put it into words like that? It's Shakespeare. It's everything you ever felt.
So to those people who maybe have only come across Monteverdi through a piece like the 1610 Vespers, what's different about his madrigal output? I mean, maybe you've already answered the question, but how would you compare the two?
They're very similar, really. The trouble is, most people's view of the 1610 is a huge thing for enormous choir to be done in cathedrals, and the 1610 is an intimate piece written probably for 10 singers, maybe one of those pieces that never had a full performance. It's the intimacy of the parts in the Vespers that is so extraordinary. And that's what you get in the 5-part pieces. Monteverdi had this thing about expressive writing that he got his brother to write about on his behalf when he was attacked by a music theorist who was having a go at the way he'd laid out a couple of his suspensions. And he said, don't come your music theory with me. I know music theory, or my brother, he knows music theory. and he says, you've misunderstood it. You're worrying about technical musical matters. What I'm interested in is setting music powerfully to express words. And there's very little difference between the way the Monteverdi Vespers works and the way the madrigals work. It's just that it's maybe slightly more risque, it's slightly more emotionally powerful because you had to be a little bit careful about what you wrote in church. But this seconda pratica, the second way of writing that his brother goes on about, it's not something just for the new style of solo singers and continuo, which the history books sometimes get a bit confused about. It's simply expressive writing. And Monteverdi could do that as well for five voices as he could for a solo voice and a chitarrone.
Yeah, now you mentioned continuo. I think are you playing as well as singing in this particular concert?
Yes, my continuo playing friends say that I'm a very fine singer. And my singer friends say that I'm a very, very fine continuo player. And
I have that with everything I do too.
So I will be playing harpsichord and organ, and Linda Sace, the fantastic theorbo player, will be joining us on her theorbo to give some colours, because we're going to intersperse the 5-voice and 6-voice pieces with solos and duets and trios. The Duo Seraphim from the Monteverdi Vespers. That's going to be quite something, I have to say, having really some of the finest singers of Monteverdi in the room singing that, Nicholas Mulroy and Matthew Long. That's quite a thing.
That is a treat.
Yeah. And then Greg Skidmore coming in third. And then we have Vorrei baciarti, which we did on Sing the Score a couple of weeks ago. I'd like to kiss you, but I don't know where. That'll be Claire Wilkinson and me singing that.
You've got an all-star team.
Yeah, well, it feels lovely. I mean, these are people who work with Monteverdi for 30 years, and the profundity of their understanding of it is something that one is in awe of. And you just need to let them sing it a few times, and they will, they get it. They really get it by this stage. And then it's just a question of how far you can take it and how dangerous you're prepared to be in a live streamed event. I mean, you're not going to be doing second takes, and a lot of people will be watching, and it's going to be up for a while. So, but I think we did live dangerously, because that was what they did. They weren't interested in second takes. They were interested in how expressive you could be with words. And then we have Zefiro Torna, which is one of my favorite pieces, with the bass part going yam pam 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 param pa pa about 50 or 60 times, and over the top of which Monteverdi just writes this vamp for 2 tenors. It's all about the good weather coming back.
I just comment that when you started your bass line, then the dog across the road, I've got the window wide open, it's so hot, actually pretty much barked the bass line for Zefiro Torna. I don't know if you picked that up. I don't know if our listeners did, but it caused me cause for
probably. Look, we could put that on YouTube, and that would have many more hits than this concert, sadly. But there you go.
Now, I would love to ask you about I Fagiolini, and I know you're doing this fantastic Sing the Score project, and if people haven't checked that out yet, then you need to hit up YouTube. It's Robert, in essence, being both funny and informative, which he's very good at, followed by an opportunity for you to sing in a piece with the wonderful I Fagiolini. So go and check that out. But apart from that, how's the future looking for the group? What are your ideas?
Well, Sing the Score is something I've really wanted to do for a while, and I've never had the time. So it's been a certain release to get this done. But we've got a new film. I've got a new film coming out on the sofa, but in fact, I can't tell you very much about it because it won't be released for a few months. But it's one of the Janequin programmatic pieces, the one with sound effects in from 50-30. And this one's about the hunt for a stag. And we've been working with Polyphonic Films again, who do all our film stuff, and John Labouchadière, the director who came up with the idea of the full Monteverdi, and indeed our Ode to Gastronomy, the film project there.
Yes. Which I featured on my Choral Chill playlist.
That's right, yes, indeed. So John came up with this. I mean, it's a very difficult piece to know how to film because it's about a hunt for a stag. So it's full of sound effects, but you can't really do a hunt in 2020 anymore. You're not going to get a sympathetic audience. You've got to try to find a way, which John has brilliantly done, of not betraying the actual meaning of the piece and making it work for 2020, which I suppose is what we've been trying to do for 30 odd years. And John's done that beautifully. But that'll be coming out on some broadcaster somewhere in a few months' time. But we're trying to rebuild our concert diary like all the other groups. It was good to see VOCES8, King Singers, the Swingles and others in your series to have that natter a few weeks ago. We're all waiting for official guidance from our governments. One is reminded of of that sketch, go to work, don't go to work. If you can stay at home, go to work. We've all been thinking about that. And we have this beautiful program called Au Naturel, which is about the seasons. with howls and more 20th century work than we're normally allowed to do. So that's been a great pleasure. And then we've projects for next year. I'm not sure to what extent we're allowed to talk about them yet, but we do have this thing called the Wasteland with Victoria and Bird and some new commissions that we're building up now.
Brilliant. Lots to look forward to then. But before that, the 8th of August, and now you've told me the singing lineup, I'm chuffed I'm going to be in the room. I'm certainly very close to the room, almost not in spitting distance, but
well, it's going to be fascinating because Vorrei Charity is all about the tension between two people wanting to get closer and closer and closer together. So we've got to kind of reinvent that. I mean, maybe we'll need to go and get tested. I mean, that's what we'd like to know about at the moment, isn't it? How? But there's that lovely piece, Adoramus, which a lot of the choirs do. I mean, it's such organic music. It doesn't need any explaining. You don't need any knowledge to understand Monteverdi. It just speaks to you. So I keep going back to it. I don't do Monteverdi out of any need to be correct or because I'm a specialist. It's just because it speaks to me. It's so powerful and it leaves you with this ache. And the title, The Ache of Love, it could be the ache of sacred love. One of the pieces we're doing is the magical, in fact, that critic Artusi was so cross about, called Cruda Amarilli, but in its sacred incarnation, because in 1606 or 7, I think, a Milanese priest called Coppini took some of Monteverdi's madrigals and put sacred words to them, which is extraordinary, really. Monteverdi seems to have been quite keen for this. I think he helped out with it. So you have a piece like Cruda Amarilli that comes out as Felle Amaro, and with the same sort of bitterness and the same longing. But I think this is two sides of the same coin, really. You get a composer like Monteverdi using the same language to talk about the ache of love and the ache of spiritual love. The very Song of Songs, really.
Mm. I learn something new every time I speak to you. It must be said. I had no idea about that at all, so I'm going to look it up. We're actually singing some Monteverdi too in our first concert on the 1st of August. We're launching our After Silence disc, which I think, as you know, has got the Sestina madrigals on it.
Yes, Incenerite Spoglie.
Yes, we'll try to warm up the audience to enjoy your Monteverdi. Look, thanks so much for coming on and chatting to us, Robert.
Always a pleasure, Barney.
You know, I think you and your group have a way of, whenever I speak to my students and they say to me, you know, why are we doing early music? I always say, you know, it's all about preserving the past, but in order to preserve the past, you have to make it relevant to now and relevant to the future. And I think you guys do that just so remarkably well with all the work you do. So thank you very much. And hey, I can't wait to see you. It's,
great. See you then, Barney.
Just over a month away. And thanks for coming on. Take care and see you soon, Robert.
Bye.
Bye.
Sognava con le stelle l'inferno d'amore sotto notturno cielo il suo dolore e dice a la fareste col vostro sembiante pietosa, pietosa, sì, pietosa, sì. La fareste col vostro aureo sembiante pietosa, sì.
Thanks to Robert for joining me. That video actually comes from E. Fagiolini's staged performance of Monteverdi called The Full Monteverdi, and the whole production is available to watch on demand on Vimeo. It's definitely worth it, so please hop over there and avail yourself of that. It was an absolutely remarkable project when it came out, and it remains remarkable to this day. I think it was done almost maybe as much as 17 years ago now. I also think it will be the perfect prelude, actually. It's about an hour long. It will be the perfect prelude to their programme, which they're going to be doing as part of the Live from London Festival. So definitely worth going over and renting that. Now, for many of the groups, this is going to be their first performance back since the beginning of lockdown, and the 16 are one of those ensembles. Their director, Harry Christophers, has reflected on that fact and delivered us the following thoughts, which I'd love to share with you now. He says, "This is quite simply a momentous occasion for the 16, our first concert back after 6 months of lockdown. Those months have given us lots of time to reflect on what is important to us. We already knew that it was live performance and connecting with our audience, but now we'll treasure that even more. Our programme allows us to reflect on our lives and the lives of people around us. It's framed by 2 double choir litanies, both prayerful yet full of hope, whose final prayer is echoed by the women of Canterbury in T.S. Eliot's final chorus from The Murder in the Cathedral. Music by Josquin, Shepard and Arvo Pärt allows us to depict an amazing range of sonic variety, wonderful textures and subtle use of silence. This is heartfelt music, so personal to each of the composers represented here and so deeply felt by all of us at the 16. Words there from Harry Christophers. I thought today then I'd play one of my favourite 16 tracks, which sort of fits that mould of reflection. A favourite, I imagine, of many of our listeners. This is the Agnus Dei 2 from Palestrina's Missa Papa Marcelli, sung by the 16, conducted by Harry Christophers. sublime music, so beautifully rendered there by Harry Christophers and the 16, whose concert as part of this Live from London festival will also be unique because we will be bringing it to you not from the VOCES8 Centre but from King's Place Concert Hall in London. So it's going to be our first go at what we call an outside broadcast. Now, talking of firsts, my final artist to preview for you today is the early music vocal ensemble Stile Antico, who were the first group to get back to rehearsing after lockdown, and we were very pleased to be able to host them in the VOCES8 Centre. And if you look on Stile Antico's social feeds, you'll actually find a short video that we made when they were with us on that day, which also contains some sumptuous singing. For today's preview, however, I'm going to play some more Palestrina, in fact, which they sang during a recent concert in the Wigmore Hall here in London. Stile Antico there, and they're going to be performing for us on the 26th of September, and they're doing what many of you may know is possibly actually my favourite piece of choral music. Oh, Clap Your Hands by Orlando Gibbons. It's going to be part of their programme, which is called Treasures of the English Renaissance. Talking about Treasures of the English Renaissance, during lockdown, Stile also have made a lockdown version of Tallis's 40-part motet, Spem in Alium, from the isolation of their own homes. That's available across all their social media platforms, YouTube, etc. So please go and check that out. It's a remarkable, remarkable achievement. Now, for those people who might just be logging in, we're here today announcing a new online music festival, which is going to be running from the VOCES8 Centre in London. It's called Live from London, and it features some of the world's leading vocal ensembles. And if you'd like any more information, it's going to be 10 concerts. If you'd like any more information about them and how you can get tickets, then please head over to voces8.foundation/live from London. And now, those of you who know VOCES8 or me well know that I do everything with my brother Paul. Dealing with the pandemic and getting this digital festival on the road has actually felt a lot like starting the business all over again, as though the clock has been wound back 15 years, sort of, 16-hour days at our desks of hard work and entrepreneurial spirit, which is all sort of fueled by just a passion to be able to perform, and also I think a drive to succeed and a desire to bring something positive to the world. And I caught up with Paul last of all to talk about that.
I'm joined by my dear brethren, Paul. Thank you very much for joining us, Paul. Of course, we co-founded VOCES8 together, and you're now the boss. I suppose that's the easiest way to put it, isn't it? You used to stop singing in the group for 4 or 5 years ago, and you're now our chief executive and also a composer. In fact, yes, you're not performing in this festival, but we are singing your music. Probably, well, certainly VOCES8 are. Any other groups singing your music?
I have a hope and a sneaky suspicion that Apollo 5 might also be singing a new piece I've just written for them. So
okay.
I think it's very nice of you to call me the boss. I feel like more like the dog's body these days, making sure that all the singers are doing and able to do as much as they want to. Obviously, it's been a difficult time for all of us, so we're all taking on new roles at the moment.
Well, yeah, I've been reflecting actually that it really feels like it did in 2005 at the moment. In 2005 when we were starting the business, starting the foundation, it was all new. We were really driven to find success. And of course, we built this group, and the whole foundation and everything that was going on within it was all sort of purring along. But now the lockdown has just slammed the brakes on, thrown everybody off the bus a little bit. And it really feels as though we're almost starting a business from scratch with these new ideas, of course, of which Live from London is a major part. Do you get the same feeling?
I do. I am trying to rediscover the energy that I think I had 15 years ago when we got things up and running. I felt a lot younger then. I can feel the little dashes of grey appearing, and I think going through COVID-19 may give us 1 or 2 extra specks. But yeah, I remember 2005 as being an incredibly exciting period. It was a new world opening up to us, and we threw everything we had at it. And I think the difference probably between then and now is that the world wasn't going through a major crisis as it is now, and the general sentiment of fear really that has pervaded the world for the last few months, as we don't know what the world looks like in the coming months or the coming years, I think makes it even more of a challenge. I don't think we've ever lived in a moment where the arts and our craft has been stopped so suddenly in its tracks, along with so many other things. So this is the biggest challenge of them all, I suspect. But there is something exciting in it, and there is something that's motivating us to get up each day and try to find solutions. I think looking for solutions is what we love to do, and that's probably in part why we're here today. And this is the biggest challenge, so hopefully we can come up with some very exciting solutions to those challenges.
Now, if you had to sum up what we're trying to do with this festival in as few words as possible, you and I are both well known for being proposed. In as few words as possible, how would you? What's your elevator pitch?
That's a tough question.
Great way to start. The word Thanks very much.
I think thanks, Barn.
My pleasure. And I'm not cutting that out.
I know that's going to make the cut. I think what we've been trying to do is to collaborate more. And we spend our life in ensembles and in classes talking about collaboration and teamwork and what you can do if you actually work alongside other people. And yes, actually, as we look around our small corner of the industry of British choral music, actually there are some great groups that we've lined up in this series who've volunteered to be involved. And I think that sense of collaboration, that sense of a joint efforts to help put a statement out is something very strong. It's something that's bigger than us, and it's something that's bigger than each group involved. And I think that's an incredibly exciting and powerful and humbling thing, that actually everyone was willing to say, yeah, let's take this risk together, let's put this thing on together, and then trying to work out a way that's creative in allowing that to be possible, in using the centre and getting it all upskilled so that the staff and the kit is ready to go, alongside the fairly nice acoustic that we do happen to already have in place.
So I'm very pleased I haven't had to install that.
No,
I've installed a lot of other things in the centre, but the acoustic was already very much there and will remain.
I think also the idea that what we're going to do with this series is not just designed to support artists who are struggling, but also thinking about ways to support festivals, to support other promoters around the world. The fact that we've got a team of ambassadors that's growing daily all around the world to help us spread messages about this event speaks, I think, to the desire also for people around the world to feel supported and feel able to connect with live cool music again. So as we look at all those things and also think about how we can support music education, which is something obviously we're incredibly passionate about, and be thinking about topics of diversity, which are so very much in the front and centre of the news in lots of different ways at the moment. I hope we're going to create something together with all of these artists, which is going to help in lots of different areas, and that's exciting.
Yeah, I mean, we've had so many comments about our Live from Home series that we've been running during lockdown, where people have been saying, you know, this is
mostly your teddies, though, let's be honest.
Most about my teddies. Well, they're still here. They're looking a bit disgruntled, actually, aren't they? I mean, they're probably wilting in the heat.
I hope they can appear in the Live from London series too. I hope they'll be manning the cameras.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, this really is an extension of that, isn't it? But a lot of people have said that they have found it something that's very engaging during a difficult period, or in some senses a lifeline for, you know, something to look forward to each day. And we very much hope that these concerts are providing a lifeline for those people who are yearning live music making. I mean, I know it is for me, because I am yearning live music making, and of course I actually get to sing some concerts, singing too. But then the element also, I think, I mean, I know you're the same, you're very creative, the element of being able to produce effectively, you know, television shows of concerts is something that has really inspired, and I was talking to Andrew about this, inspired our creativity, and is fulfilling for us as well. But we hope very much that it's going to be incredibly fulfilling for people.
Yeah, well, it's a great chance to develop new skills for all of us, isn't it? We've been hard in training for the last few months, but actually we've never...
Another month to go yet.
Yes, I know, which is lucky.
I'm excited to tell our viewers on this note that yesterday we installed the crane in the Gresham, sorry, no, of course, the Gresham Centre, we used to be called the VOCES8 Centre. We installed the crane, and this is a camera device, which you have a camera on the end of, and it goes up to 7 meters high, and you can do big sweeping sort of shots. I always describe it as the Jurassic Park camera. You know, you get the there's this big sweep. We've got the crane, but it does take, it's all well and good having a crane, but it takes some manning. So one of our former US scholars, one of our former scholars
in the UK,
Tim has taken on the mantle of being crane cameraman. So even with a month to go, we're in there rehearsing our camera shots together on a weekly basis, I think, at the moment. So it's, yeah, learning new skills and broadening our horizons in that sense, as well as being been really good fun.
I'm just waiting for my call up for camera 3. I feel like I
have to be honest, Paul. I think our audience needs to know that when it comes to sort of delivering the shows, because I'm doing the tech, I suppose so far that's fallen in my lap. But I will concede this to you. I consider you to be an incredible asset in our team, and I'm so good that I'm yet to decide exactly the best way to deploy you.
Well, that's very exciting. I'll look forward to my team number, whatever.
You're very much.
I'm a left winger normally, so.
Yeah, but I consider you in this as really a playmaker.
Okay, right.
You're very good on the ball, good skills on the ball. You know, I'm not as quick in midfield. You've got a creative eye for a good pass.
Yeah, we'll see. See how it goes.
Get away from the sporting analogies. Anyway. Thank you for coming on. I will say to you happily on air, thank you for supporting the venture, because you are the guy who, we always say, don't we, that you make the money and I spend it. And you are the guy who has to worry in this difficult time about the financial implications of all these things. And I know from those of us who are on the ground going to be singing these concerts that we're very grateful for the fact that you've and the board, our board of trustees, have felt able to support this.
I was going to say, I'm a lucky guy because I'm surrounded by great singers, and I'm also surrounded by great boards, both in the US and the UK. And that's not even to mention our management team, who are just fantastic and desperate to get back to work. So I think it was an easy thing to say yes to. I think if we can do something that motivates, energizes, and inspires people the world over in whichever way they connect with this series, then it's all going to be worth it.
Excellent. And I don't know if you can hear, but the dogs outside are very, very excited as well. So we hope all our listeners are too. Paul, thanks for joining us. I would love, actually, we spoke very briefly about your artistic involvement being that of a composer in this festival. So I will actually play now to wave you on your way a recording of your Nunc Dimittis, which is what we're going to perform in the After Silence concert, in the opening concert of this series, sung here by VOCES8. So thanks very much, and here's some of your lovely music.
Thank you.
That brings us towards the end of my stream for today. Here then is a poster of all of the 9 groups that we have previewed today that are taking part in this festival. As I'm sure you can imagine, setting up a new festival has been a huge undertaking, and we'd love, of course, to thank all of the groups who have very generously offered us their time to come and sing. Of course, we also have a huge team involved, well beyond the limits of just the singers in VOCES8 who have been working really hard to get this together. There's our management team here in London, but also a huge raft of supporters and volunteers around the world. Paul made reference to them there. That team is ever growing. If you'd be interested to get involved, please drop me an email, barnaby@voces8.com. We'd love as many hands on deck as possible. We really couldn't do it without you all, so thanks very much for all of your help. Probably the most important people, however, are you lot, our audience. We won't be able to get this whole thing off the ground without your support of the festival, and of course we'd love you to buy a ticket, but we also hope that you're excited enough by what the festival has to offer that you'll get out and about and tell all of your friends about it too. Thanks very much for joining me today. I'm going to be back next week with another preview show, talking to some other of the artists from this wonderful new festival live from London. Until then, you can find all of the information you'll need at voces8.foundation/live from London. We just want to bring live choral music back to a worldwide community. We can't do that without all of you, so we hope you'll be willing and ready to join us on that journey. Thank you very much indeed, and have a great weekend. Bye.